gold! Right, hi guys, it's me, Pala, and I cover untranslated Japanese hobby news. We just got what must be the first spoiler set for Dimension Force, the next booster set coming up. And as you can see, we're welcomed immediately with a new Odd Eyes monster, Odd Eyes Pendulumgraph Dragon. 2700, 2500, Pendulum Scale 4, Pendulum Effect. Card of this name's Pendulum Effect can only be used once per turn. In your opponent's end phase, you can activate this effect. Select one ritual spell card from your deck or graveyard, and you can add it to your hand. After that, return this card to its owner's hand. Dragon, Ritual, Pendulum, Effect. Ritual summoned with Odd Eyes Advent. This card can only be special summoned by Ritual Summon or by Pendulum Summon from the hand. First effect. Each time your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, inflict 300 damage to them. Second effect. Once per turn, when your opponent has activated the effect of a spell card, you can activate this effect. Place this card in the Pendulum Zone and negate your opponent's effect. If this ritual summoned card has been placed on the Pendulum Zone, you can additionally special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck. So seemingly that seems to be extra deck rather than on top of your extra deck. So it's not just talking about a Pendulum monster, but indeed other extra deck Odd Eyes monsters. So this seems pretty good. The interaction with the Pendulum effect for, say, being able to search a ritual spell is good even outside of an Odd Eyes deck, to be honest. Because it's not specifically an Odd Eyes ritual card. However, I assume it must have a greater interaction with this card with its specific ritual spell card, Odd Eyes Advent. So after that, we've got a couple Entermate, i.e. Perform Pal cards, two more Pendulum monsters with Pendulum Scale 8 and 1, so clearly they're meant to work together. So we have Gentrude and Lady Ange. Right, Gentrude, level 4, Pendulum Scale 8, 1500, 1000. Pendulum Effect. This card's Pendulum Effect can only be used once per turn. If Entermate Lady Ange is in the other Pendulum Zone, and there are no monsters on your side of the field, or only Pendulum monsters, you can activate this effect. Add an Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand. Now that's specifically an Odd Eyes card, not an Odd Eyes monster. You do need to have the right card in the other Pendulum Scale, but it is generous in the fact that you can have either no monsters or only Pendulum monsters on the field. So it does lock you into the deck a bit, but it is a bit generous like that. Fiend Pendulum Effect, Monster Effect. Of this card name's first and second effects, you can only use one of them per turn. First effect. If this card is destroyed, you can activate this effect. Select one Entermate monster from your deck other than Entermate Gentrude, and place it on your Pendulum Zone. Second effect. If this card is face up on your extra deck, you can discard a Pendulum monster from your hand to activate this effect. Add this card to the hand. Afterwards, select one Odd Eyes card or Entermate card in your Pendulum Zone, and you can return that to its owner's hand. Interesting, so it does help to be able to swap up your existing Pendulum Scale cards, which is usually a problem with Pendulum monsters, so that's quite helpful. And it can help you, through its own destruction, to search for another card and immediately put it in your Pendulum Zone. But you cannot choose for it to be destroyed, it's just when it is destroyed. So, Lady Ange appears to be rare, whereas Gentrude just seems to be a common card by the looks of it, based on the text at least. Pendulum Scale 1, 1000, 1500, so the opposite stats, but level 3, unlike Gentrude's level 4. Light as opposed to dark. A angel monster as opposed to a fiend monster. Pendulum Effect. Once per turn, at the attack declaration of a battle between you and your opponent's monster, you can discard a Pendulum monster from your hand to activate this effect. The attack of that opponent's monster until the end of the turn is decreased by 1000. Right, Angel Pendulum Effect. Much like Gentrude, you can only activate one of the two effects of this card name to use once per turn. First effect. Discard this card and another Entermate monster that doesn't have the same name to activate this effect. Draw 2 cards from your deck. Second effect. When this card exists in the graveyard, and an Odd Eyes card or an Entermate Gentrude exists on your side of the field, you can activate this effect. Place this card on your Pendulum Zone. So there are ways of recovering both of these to be partnered together. Because if Gentrude is on the field and this thing's in your graveyard, then you can put it on your Pendulum Zone. You can also choose to get it in your graveyard in the first place by discarding it with another Entermate card to draw 2 cards. So, what I assume you would do is, if you had this card in your hand, and you have no way of getting Ange otherwise, play this card normally, it gets destroyed, goes to the extra deck, you get to add, from your deck, an Entermate Pendulum monster other than this card, so choose Ange, and then you can discard Ange in order to get this card back into your hand, and then, if you play it on the field while Ange is in the graveyard, you then get to add Lady Ange to your other Pendulum Zone. So they do have a decent amount of affinity. So the next card we have is a simple spell card. EXP, otherwise Extra Pendulum. So clearly we have the image of Odd Eye's Rebellion Dragon right here with the 2 Pendulum monsters that are traditionally used to make it. This card's simple effect is, this turn, in addition to your normal Pendulum summon, once only during your main phase, you may Pendulum summon a monster from your extra deck. So I assume this is to get over the limitations of the current play of the game, which limits how many Pendulum monsters you'd be able to special summon from your extra deck in one turn by making it one more than that. I'm not the deepest in this level of knowledge, so I'm not sure exactly how this would be super useful, but it is what it says on the tin, Extra Pendulum. Then finally we have Pendulum Scale. It is literally named after the Pendulum Scale itself. And once again, as always with this type of card, we see the pendulum rocking back and forth on the artwork. This card has a few options. The card's name can only be activated once per turn. First and only effect. While 2 monsters exist in your Pendulum Zone, depending on the difference between those 2 Pendulum Scales, apply the below effects. 0. Select 2 Magic Trap cards on the field and destroy them. So if you had, per se, 2 Scale 4 monsters on your Pendulum Zone, you could apply that effect. Between 1 and 3, add 1 level 2 to level 4 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. 4 to 6, add 1 level 5 to 7 Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. And 7 or more, i.e. you've had a level 1 and level 8 for example, or anything higher than that. Select up to 2 of the cards in your Pendulum Zone and return them to their owner's hand. After that, special summon 1 Pendulum monster from your hand. So this is pretty good because it allows you to swap up your cards back to your hand and presumably swap up your cards back to your hand to exchange for other Pendulum monsters. But if it's already that far apart with, say, 1 and 8 with those other Pendulum monsters that we just went over, then there's not a great reason to put them back into your hand in terms of Pendulum summoning unless you want to combo their effects again. But you also get a free special summon of a Pendulum monster from your hand. So you could special summon one of those or another monster. I can't be called an expert on that. So I myself am right in the middle of watching Arc 5, so I cannot properly appreciate all the details of this, since I'm also not a very competitive player. However, when I saw this gold-ass guy, I certainly did go, oh great, another Odd Eyes. So I'm guessing Dimension Force will mostly be about rejuvenating cards used by Yuya, in line with the pattern of currently adding new cards to popular characters' themes. I don't know if there'll be more cards than this, but based on the fact that it's Dimension Force, we could well be seeing more. Dimension Force itself will release on the 15th of January next year. The Amazon listing for this has existed for quite a while. However, I don't know when the pre-orders exactly are going up or if they have already gone up, because as far as I've seen, it just has Amazon Marketplace listings for what people say they're going to sell it for when it does come out. So tell me, you guys looking forward to more Yuya cards? I myself will probably be buying the set, and any good excuse to get into a theme that I'll end up liking from the show really late is always something that I go for. But see ya.